satellites captured the escape of the Russian Black Sea Fleet ships from Feodosia after the strike on the Novocherkassk ship on December 26. In the images from the Planet.com service, it can be seen that after the strike on the Russian Novocherkassk on December 26, the minesweeper Alexandrite, a rescue tugboat, and at least one more ship left the port. The photos reveal that the pier is located south of the explosion site, with only one cargo ship remaining at the dock. Additionally, there are new photos of the smoke-covered Novocherkassk. Besides that, another vessel is seen partially submerged on the satellite image. It's worth noting that at least 19 Russian sailors are injured and 33 are considered missing after the Ukrainian armed forces struck the landing ship Novocherkassk in the port of the temporarily occupied Feodosia. The pseudo-hate of Crimea previously reported 1 civilian killed and 4 injured as a result of the attack.
Тихо, тихо, тихо. Ты снимаешь? Да. Охренеть. Ой, жарко сюда. Вот зря мы сюда пошли, там осколки, блин, летят. Поэтому говорю, голову. Нифига себе. Тихо, ты чё? Офигеть.
Now let's turn to the direction of Kherson. The Russians are actively working on clearing the territory of the Ukrainian armed forces. Simultaneously, they are assaulting our footholds on the left bank in all directions. Unfortunately, assaults are underway in 4 directions at once. As you can understand, it's challenging to maintain the defense without ground support. Currently, there are shelling attacks against the Russians and FPV drones are actively in operation, but the situation is complex. We are waiting to see how the battles will conclude. However, the Russians cannot fly there now, so they lack air support. As for the F-16, which are supposedly in Ukraine, there is a whole controversy. A foreign publication claims that they are already in Ukraine.
Western-provided F-16 fighter jets could already be in Ukraine, Newsweek has been told, after Kyiv claimed a host of high-profile victories against Russian assets in the air and in the sea. Ukraine's Western allies promised Kyiv the advanced US-made F-16 jets months ago, but questions remained about exactly when the aircraft would take to Ukraine's skies. Kyiv had clamored for the jets, which would boost Ukraine's ability to contest Russia's dominance in the skies and launch more strikes on key Russian targets. The F-16s are equipped with more modern avionics and radars and are designed to launch the NATO standard weapons Ukraine has been using with its older, Soviet-era jets. In recent days, Russian-aligned or anti-Ukrainian telegram channels have speculated that Ukraine may have made use of the advanced jets to take out key Russian assets, although there has been no confirmation that Ukraine has received the jets. A U.S. source told Newsweek on Wednesday that it was likely Ukraine had indeed received the first of the promised F-16s.
And here, Yuriy Ignat was quick to refute this information and stated that it was fabricated out of thin air.
Seriously? Why, then, did I go live on Ukrainian and foreign media 23 times yesterday to talk about the R-6 ship and refute idiotic Russian statements about the destruction of F-16s, as well as the inexpediency of their presence in Ukraine at this stage? Leave it alone. For those who are not convincing, here is a link to Newsweek, where it is obvious that the material is sucked out of thin air. If you don't speak English, use Google Translate. Good luck.
In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the situation remains challenging. Intense battles are ongoing, with the Russians launching assaults on both Robotyne and Ukrainian positions near Verbove. However, they haven't achieved any success and the front line remains unchanged. Additionally, a significant number of shelling incidents persist along the entire front line. In the Vuhledar direction, shelling continues, but no offensive actions are reported and the front line remains unchanged. In the Avdiivka direction, there is ongoing high activity in shelling and offensive actions. Assaults are taking place on the northern flank near Novocherkassk and the coke chemical plant. Attacks are launched from both sides in the industrial zone on the outskirts of Avdiivka. The Russians are attempting to break into the city and establish a foothold to expand their success. Battles are also occurring on the southern flank near Severne. The situation in Pervomaysk is very challenging as the Russians are advancing further, but they haven't managed to consolidate their positions yet. Despite ongoing fights, they are unable to secure their advances. Battles and shelling continue in the area of Nevelsk. The front line remains unchanged over the past day, but further south, in the vicinity of Mariinka, shelling is reported, and all attacks have ceased. Occupiers are reinforcing their new positions and bringing in fresh reserves. Near the village of Pobeda, they failed to break through, and attacks have temporarily stopped. However, fighting persists in the area of Novocherkassk. The Russians are still attempting to penetrate the village, but the Ukrainian armed forces repel them and prevent them from consolidating. In the Bakhmut direction, battles for Bogdanivka are ongoing, while the situation in other areas has stabilized again. Yesterday, the Russians made intensified attempts to launch assaults along the entire front line, but all of them were unsuccessful. Therefore, there is minimal activity today. In the Siversk direction, the number of shelling has decreased, and attacks on the village of Vesele have ceased. The Russians, failing to achieve success, remain in their previous position. The situation in the area of Kupiansk remains unchanged. Attacks on the Ukrainian armed forces positions in the forest and shelling continue, but the intensity is not high. Over the past day, the front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Svatove, everything remains stable as before. Occupiers shell Berestove and no new attacks are reported. In the Kupiansk direction, after a long pause, the Russians have decided to resume their offensive between Ivanivka and Kyslivka, attempting to break through to the railway. Villages are also intensively shelled and assaults on Synkivka continue. However, in the Petropavlivka area, the Russians didn't achieve success yesterday and the front line remains unchanged. Also, today there is both good and bad news from the US. The good news is that Ukraine will receive a new and final package of assistance in 2023 from the US. However, the publication Politico reported on possible further plans and a change in strategy.
With US and European aid to Ukraine now in serious jeopardy, the Biden administration and European officials are quietly shifting their focus from supporting Ukraine's goal of total victory over Russia to improving its position in an eventual negotiation to end the war, according to a Biden administration official and a European diplomat based in Washington. Such a negotiation would likely mean giving up parts of Ukraine to Russia. The White House and Pentagon publicly insist there is no official change in administration policy, that they still support Ukraine's aim of forcing Russia's military completely out of the country. But along with the Ukrainians themselves, US and European officials are now discussing the redeployment of Kiev's forces away from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's mostly failed counteroffensive into a stronger defensive position against Russian forces in the east, according to the administration official and the European diplomat, and confirmed by a senior administration official. This effort has also involved bolstering air defense systems and building fortifications, razor wire obstructions and anti-tank obstacles and ditches along Ukraine's northern border with Belarus, these officials say. In addition, the Biden administration is focused on rapidly resurrecting Ukraine's own defense industry to supply the desperately needed weaponry the US Congress is balking at replacing.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.